GoodBuy, the show where we tell you about a thing and whether or not you should actually buy that thing. Today that thing is No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, as of now in 2023, is essentially 7 years old, which is scary. Leading up to its original launch, it promised to be a fantastic and endless game full of discovery, limitless potential, and true wonder for players to share as they delved into this procedural universe. When the game came out back in 2016, it just wasn't that. Fans were disappointed and the game came crashing down quite quickly. These unmet promises were a mix of overhyping the game, over-marketing the game, and an ambitious but small development team that had dreams of what they wanted to make and over-promising in the process. However, while the game is known for this shortcoming, it's now also known for being one of the most successful comebacks in the industry. Hello Games have poured endless heart and soul into this game and turned it into what it was supposed to be, and then some. Consistent and free updates have pushed the game to surpass any original expectations, and these updates are still ongoing now, with yet more promise for the future. So, maybe you tried it back in 2016 and bounced off, or perhaps you never played it at all and now you're curious to dive in and see what it's all about. But the question is this game worth playing now? So let's say you're a new player in 2023. How are you going to get on? As someone who still frequently plays No Man's Sky, I do have to express that the game can sometimes feel a little daunting to get into. There's a lot of stuff and it can just be overwhelming at times. Luckily, the game has changed and changed and changed, and in all of that, there is a good level of handholding and in-game explanations now if you need it, but it's also not in your face. You can pin crafting recipes you need, track items, see your objectives in the log step by step, and even check everything in the discovery tabs and faction descriptions and everything like that. But if you just want to fend for yourself and head off into space to see what happens, you absolutely can, and that can be just as fantastic a way to play. Now, many of our editors have shared their opinions on the game over the years. In 2022, our lead features editor Jade King spoke about her feelings on how the game had changed since launch. And though she acknowledged how incredible and genuinely great the game has become, she does state that there's a layer of intentional loneliness that the game was going for in the initial launch that no longer exists in No Man's Sky. On the other hand, Andy Kelly spoke about how the various updates have made the game something he wants it to be, even if it isn't how most play the game. For Andy, the post-launch creative mode is what made the game enjoyable. The gameplay loop of constantly mining and recharging your ship was a distraction from what he enjoyed most, seeing funky planets and their alien inhabitants. It's clear to see that No Man's Sky, after years of updates, has a little bit of something for everyone and is pretty freeform in how you want to approach it. It's a game that will, at times, demand tedium of you and makes no promises of success, though in reality, that's all part of the game. Now, for a game that boasts limitless opportunities, constant updates, live service community objectives, and 18 quintillion planets, well, how much of your weekends is this going to take up? The fact of the matter is that No Man's Sky is not a game with an endpoint. It's a survival exploration game, and one with a hell of a lot to survive and explore. The original objective of the game when it first came out was to reach the center of the galaxy, and while this is still something you can do and something that certain quest lines will lead you to, even doing that won't finish anything. But even if that's the one thing you want to do, you'll have your own route to plot and an indefinite number of planets to contend with along the way, and this can end up taking you between 30 or 40 hours. Maybe a bit less, maybe a lot more, but it really depends on just about every factor out there. There are other quest lines too, each of which can take 10, 20, maybe even another 30 hours for you to fully delve into and polish off all the things you want to do there. Or you could just play an expedition, one of the timed sub-quest game modes that appears usually with a new update. They're available for a few weeks, and there have currently been 10 expeditions with even more yet to come. These are separate from the main game and it'll start you off fresh, but completing them will give you exclusive rewards you can claim in any of your saves. These expeditions vary in length, but between 5 to 10 hours is about a good estimation on average. Needless to say that this is a game you'll spend as long playing as you want to. You can dip in and out and only do a few hours here and there, building a base or getting lost in creative mode to just explore, or you could challenge yourself with a permadeath hardcore survival mode if you wanted to. The likelihood is that you'll play this for a few hundred hours, and that could be over the course of years as you keep coming back, and honestly, that can be a refreshing game to have in your library. All those planets, all those hours, and an ongoing 7 years of huge content updates and overhauls. That sounds like it's going to be quite costly. But as we mentioned, you only need the base game. Everything else is free. No DLC, no battle passes, no seasonal microtransactions or anything like that. Just play it, update it, and play it some more. The base game itself is still a full-priced game in most places, costing around £40 or £50 on most platforms, though it does go on sale quite often for half this price, and pretty much always when there's another free update. You can also pick up physical copies of the game for much cheaper now depending on where you get it from, and once again, this will just update with absolutely everything, even if it's a day one disc. The game is available on PC, Mac, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and even in VR for you virtual fiends out there. Okay, I've said quite enough about it, so what are some other players actually saying about the game? Hilton Webster says, I played No Man's Sky on day one. I was enamored with that game, an entire galaxy of nothing but stars and planets and my own exploratory desire. You'll have heard plenty of people say it was lonely, and it was. But it was a loneliness that encapsulated how tiny you were in the grand scheme of things. The best part of No Man's Sky is that even after all these years and all these updates that have transformed it into an entirely different game, is that most of them are optional. You can be a pirate, dedicate your life to mastering the economy, ignore it all and just build bases and outposts with infinite supplies, or you can travel the galaxy at your own pace like it's a grand road trip and never encounter another soul. Brendan Lizardi says, do you like the old school sci-fi aesthetic? Sharp polygons against technicolor landscapes that blend the familiar and the bizarre? No Man's Sky has that in absolute spades, but you won't get it all at once. Seeing it all will take literal weeks, and a majority of the meantime will be low intensity traveling and exploration. If you're looking for some solid vibes to tune out the world with, this is perfect. And Matthew McCone says, space is unbelievably mind-numbingly big, but No Man's Sky manages to cram so much to do in that star-filled void. There's something for everyone, whether that's fighting, farming, or finishing off daily missions. The game was rough for a while, but it's in a really great place now. No Man's Sky is now much bigger than the original promises Hello Games made, and no one could have expected it to become what it is. It might feel overwhelming to dive in at this point, but the game takes it a step at a time, while allowing you the freedom to pursue what you wish. Base building, exploration, a pirate squad, it's up to you. With so much to discover and new content still coming, No Man's Sky is the perfect comfort game you can always return to, never worrying about how much you're doing, how you're doing it, or how much you have left.